Hello, everyone. Welcome back to WhatCulture Wrestling. I am Gareth here on a Sunday. You know this by now, but who is this? Who's this other person?
I'm very tired.
Hi, very
Hello.
tired.
No, I'm Ben Roy. Hello. And I watched AEW last night. That's why I'm here.
He's one of the few people in the office who did. So that's good. That's good. We've got an expert on hand. But yeah, obviously we are here to talk about most of the fallout, really, of All Out, because it was a weird show. Stuff happened, but by AEW's lofty standards, it perhaps wasn't as excellent a show as we used to, maybe.
Yeah, it was. It's weird because so far the AEW shows, especially the pay-per-views, have been got sort of like they're so amazing. Oh, something great happens. And whereas this was like, it was a fine show, but it's kind of nothing really blew anyone out the water apart from the mishaps that happened during it. So I think that's what the takeaway really is. It was a fine show, and then some horrible bumps occurred along the way.
Yeah, and that's something we definitely are going to break down a little bit. But just in terms of the actual matches themselves, I'm going to run through everything that happened, then we'll just really jump into the key takeaways more than anything. So we had Joey Janela defeated Serpentico. Private Party beat the Dark Order. You had Big Swole taking on Britt Baker in a tooth and nail match, which had loads of like Novocaine and gas. And...
That was a really. I wasn't expecting a cinematic match, and when it was like announced, I think a few hours before or something like that, I was skeptical, but it kind of worked for me. Even though personally, I would have liked to see Britt Baker win, but at the same time, we all know the reason why they did this is because Britt probably isn't still 100%, and they can cut around this, and they can take breaks, and they can do that all sort of thing. So, yeah, it's certainly not the best cinematic match of all time, but fine.
Yeah, bells and whistles. It did what it had to do, I guess, to prolong the feud for a bit longer, maybe. Then you had the Young Bucks. They beat Jurassic Express. That was one of my favourite matches of the night. I just thought they delivered exactly what you'd expect from both teams. They were pretty good in that. Yeah.
An obvious win. Like not to crap on or poo-poo on the Jurassic Express, but I just couldn't have seen. It just seemed so predictable. But it was just, you knew you was going to get a solid almost 20 minutes of wrestling, and that's what it was, really.
Yeah, they were great. I think that's something you can guarantee with the AEW when it comes to tag team wrestling. For the most part, you're going to get a pretty solid 7 and above out of 10 match, no matter what. So it was good, really good. Then we had the Casino Battle Royal, and I know Ben Roy has some.
I can't believe Eddie Kingston was robbed. Eddie Kingston was robbed. He didn't go over the top rope. He crawled under the rope, and then he had 74,000 people try and help him pull Lance Archer out. And then Jake the Snake was like, "Here, look at my bag. It's got something." It could have been a bag of his nudes. He looked so awkward. Like, look at this bag. Like, obviously it's probably a pretend snake, but the way Jake was presenting that bag to Eddie Kingston, it was like, "Go away," kicking him in the face. Like, it was such an awkward spot towards the end, and I can't even remember his name now. As formerly Evan Bourne.
Yeah, Matt Siddle. I always call him Siddle, and I get shouted at. I think Siddle.
Matt Siddle. I'm sorry, but the Shockmaster-esque debut of that man in AEW was, first of all, scary because he could have been really seriously hurt, and then he seemed to be carrying on fine. Oh no, what was that? But
yeah, but I mean, Lance Archer coming away with the win, though. Like,
it's not. It was a big
favourite. He's not Eddie Kingston.
Eddie Kingston. The match is still going on right now because it's technically never finished.
See the new who was it? Curtis Axel. He just never got eliminated from the Royal Rumble.
74 years from now,
still in it. Well, you never know. They could incorporate that into a story now going forward. I never got defeated, and he could just rip him to shreds week after week. So
hopefully
that'd be good. And then we've got to talk about it. We've got to talk about the Matt Hardy thing. We're going to talk about it in a bit more detail after this, but really quickly, Matt Hardy beat Sammy Guevara in the Broken Rules match, but the big takeaway here is the fact that he had probably one of the most horrific bumps.
Smacked his head on the concrete from however high up. As I was sitting there watching it, I was already saying to my friend, like, scissor lifts scare me as they do, because you could just imagine one of those things coming down and lopping off an arm or a leg if you get caught in it. And then Matt Hardy goes off there and smacks his head on the floor and then tries to carry on. And you see him sort of trying to stand up and wobble around, like, you didn't know if it was a work or not. And it was so confused. No, like, in the moment, especially even on Twitter, you can't just go like, "What's going on?" And then Aubrey throws up the X, and you're like, "Oh, this is this is actually something. And then as they pulled Guevara away, it still felt like a work.
Yeah, that's the issue now. I feel like we're in this weird zone where even when the X gets thrown up, you're like, well, they know that we know the X means serious stuff, so they're just trying to do that to work us, so we think it's bad. Like,
it could have been a fake X, and it turns out it wasn't. But then the match was restarted, and it's like, what? And you kind of like look at Matt, and he wasn't all there. But somehow, if he had fallen off that scaffolding, oh my!
Oh, I thought that was coming, to be fair, so I was getting a bit worried. But we've got a lot more on this, because Tony Khan's got a few updates and Matt's wife had a lot to say about it. So we'll get to that. We've got a lot to say about that. But then Hikaru Shida, she beat Thunder Rosa in what I thought was a pretty solid, stellar, in terms of like women's title matches that we've had in All Elite Wrestling right now. I think this is probably up there, maybe is the best. Like, I really enjoyed it. I thought style-wise, they really meshed quite well. They were conflicting styles, but it worked for me. I really enjoyed it.
For me, it's a solid match all around, but I just couldn't ever get into it, the sense that I just never thought Thunder Rosa was going to win, because I don't see them putting the belt on someone who's not full-time AEW. And as thin as the division gets criticized of being, like, then if you just but if you get someone else outside of AEW, pardon me, I just didn't think that was ever a realistic option. But all in all, a solid match to watch.
Yeah, I'm going to rifle through these, this next one, because obviously we've got 3 huge matches right at the end of the card. But obviously we had Matt Cardona, we had Scorpio Sky, and the Natural Nightmares. They beat the Dark Order. That was a big shocker.
The fastest count in wrestling history. The fastest count.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah.
Songa say.
There was some really slow counts later in the night as well, so it definitely
was.
In contrast, it was a bit like, it was odd. But yeah, that led to a bit of an implosion, a little bit of an implosion at the end for the Dark Order, but it just keeps adding to this this story of Brody Lee being a dictator in that group. So it's interesting. Then probably the biggest takeaway for me of the night, FTR, I can't even say the name, FTR. They beat Omega and Page. They beat them for the tag team titles. We sort of saw it coming in a sense, but I think the sheer drama of the finish and everything else, it hit me right in the gut, man. It really, really upset me. I thought,
228 days later, they have lost, and you could. The writing was on the wall again with this one. You could always see him losing. The finish was a bit confusing. The finish itself felt slow. The actual finish of the match, and then Kenny leaving was sort of brought back up a bit, but. There was like that extra level of spice. I feel like that was missing from this match. And I was so distracted by Kenny not holding the ropes and being told off by the referee every like couple of minutes to hold the tag rope. But it was solid. Yeah. It just wasn't the best bout I've seen tag team wise in AEW. No,
I think it lent a bit too heavily. And I think the commentary team mentioned this a lot as well. And it being a brutal match, being a physical match. And I was like, well, it was, but a lot of the time, brutal can translate to really slow and methodical. So it was a little bit of that, perhaps. I don't know. That's my opinion on it. But then we had the Mimosa match, which was just a bit of bells and whistles, really. I'm not sure in terms of a blow-off between Orange Cassidy and Jericho, if it was the match that needed to happen for that blow-off, if it is the blow-off. But it felt like it was just overshadowed by the pools of orange and champagne.
I was impressed with the setup. I was expecting it to be sort of like maybe a paddling pool like you've had in past WWE things with like a hog pen match or something with just a bit of mud in a kid's pool. But no, I was impressed by the actual mimosa pods either side. That was really good visual and served well for Jericho's spot in the splash at the end. Fun match.
It was, and just the Superman Orange Cassidy punch, whatever it's called. Yeah, it did the job. And not sure where both of these go from here, but Orange Cassidy feels like a big stand. They definitely put him over massively on the commentary team, just saying how far he's come in the last year. And he has. It's been awesome. But the big match, the main event, was Jon Moxley defending his AEW World title against MJF, that son of a gun. And I thought MJF put in a great showing for himself. I think he really proved that he can hang with main eventers. And the Crimson Mask he had, I think it was towards the middle of the match when he got the Crimson Mask, that really added to the drama and everything else. And I think his stock went up. This is how you get somebody's stock to go up in defeat. I thought it was really well done as a match, to be honest.
There was shenanigans, but it wasn't in a bad way. It was decent shenanigans. One of my predictions was like Wardlow would get involved somehow, and the fact that he threw the ring and MJF dropped it is going to be a thing for MJF to sort of live on, because he's not going to get an automatic rematch. And the fact that the paradigm shift was used, and it was an awesome paradigm shift. It was just the icing on the cake of a solid wrestling match, and I don't think any of them come out hurt by this at all.
Definitely not. But you have a few more updates on the Matt Hardy story, because that is probably the unfortunate biggest takeaway coming out of All Out. So what's Tony Khan saying about Matt Hardy right now?
So Tony Khan during the media scrum informed everyone that Matt Hardy had been taken to hospital, and he was also checked over several times. Like, this is the reason why they stopped the match. He was checked to make sure he was fine, and he sort of registered with everyone. To even amongst Tony Khan's nerves, he went ahead and let it go. But there's no, as I say, I don't think there's any concrete evidence just yet of what's going on. But we've just had the message that he's doing okay in hospital, but also his wife, is it Rebby Hardy?
Yeah, Rebby. Yeah, she was not happy. Happy.
She's not happy, and she launched out a tweet saying "shame on everyone in that goddamn building," which is obviously fair from her, because she just saw her husband, the father of her children, fall off a scissor lift and smack his head on some concrete. So, yeah. At the moment, like, you would think he's got a concussion or anything, but right now, there's just a big part of this is he's doing okay. So hopefully he's doing okay, carries on, and I hope that he's not got any sort of long-term damage from this.
Yeah, obviously everyone here at WhatCulture just sends him the best. Hope he's going to recover as soon as possible, because everyone loves Matt Hardy, and you just don't want to see him falling off scissor lifts. It's just, I don't understand why he's doing that to himself at this point in his career. Doesn't need to, Matt. You've done enough. But then Tony Khan was obviously in his post All Out media scrum, and he was talking a little bit about that thing. It's not the current global situation for a change. It's another situation which is going on right now. It is the third party ban, let's say, that WWE have thrown out, the third party platform ban. So we had a big thing on it yesterday. We did a whole news video about it, but Tony Khan's had his say on it, and obviously there was a little bit of a cheeky wink in All Out, but we'll get there. He said that obviously there are a few grey areas in terms of people under the All Elite banner, like using streams, Twitch streams and Cameo and everything else. There are a few things. And he said, if you, let's say, for example, if you're one of you're a big star and you're trying to get a Pepsi sponsor under your Twitch handle or whatever it is, and not as a wrestler, but as yourself, you think, well, it seems like you're trying to circumvent the company maybe. But for the most part, I support people going into Twitch and monetizing that platform. So really, his biggest takeaway was the fact that, if you're just trying to earn a bit of extra money, and you're going to promote the company in a positive light, why not? Do you know what I mean? It's just a bit of extra cash.
Which seems fair, and I haven't seen what you guys said about it yesterday or the day before, but I just feel like the whole ban from Vince comes from Raw, and SmackDown was going a bit down, and then someone's informed him, Vince, they're earning some cash over here, and then it's just going, hey pal, kill it. And then that was my great Vince McMahon impression.
I was looking around for a minute. I was like,
you could say he was like, there's no chance in hell I'm letting this carry on. So, and then I just feel like it's old man getting angry about things, and I don't understand why they take. Well, I do understand, but I think it's silly the way that WWE are doing this.
It is silly, and AEW took a nice silly jab at it, which sometimes this can come across as tacky. I think in this vein, because the entire wrestling world's a little bit like, it's a bit silly what's going on. They had a little segment where Kip Sabian came on, and he plugged his Twitch account with a little board, and then there was like a little disclaimer that said AEW approves of this message. So it was a bit like, meh. And Khan said Kip just wanted to have some fun, and I thought it was fun. So
love it.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's just a bit of lighthearted fun, but I think the entire wrestling world's united at this point in thinking that this is just weird, isn't it? We've got more news.
Shall we look ahead to the future, though? Shall we look ahead to Full Gear, which is a pay-per-view that I'm still not sure about the name of, Full Gear, but then I guess it's better than just Revolution. But anyway, Full Gear was announced, and it is coming back on the 7th of November. And pretty much that's the major news of it. It's coming back on the 7th of November, and let's get some more AEW wrestling. To me, just give me more, and that is the announcement. And I don't know how else I can make this worse.
I mean, no, Full Gear just sounds awesome to me. I mean, last year, obviously, we had the Kenny Omega, John Moxley street fight, which was...
resulted in the 10 grand fine.
Yeah, exactly. For me, that was one of the more brutal matches that I saw last year, so I was a bit like, whoa. So in my mind, I'm like, Full Gear means brutal, so that's good.
And someone else smacked their head, Cody, on the rampway last year, so... But let's try and avoid head injuries or head impacts of any kind for this next one. But yeah, nice to see that Full Gear's coming back. And also it's nice to have a cleaner pay-per-view schedule and not pay-per-view 1 week after the other sort of thing.
Literally, yes. We're not getting no payback here from AEW. But you've taken us into the future. I'm dragging us kicking and screaming back into the present. So WWE have released a company statement on this third-party edict. It's just a bit more information, really, on their point of view, let's say. So I think it's just worth reading it out. We'll add more to it afterwards, but they've said, much like Disney and Warner Brothers, WWE creates, promotes, and invests in its intellectual property, i.e. the stage names of performers like The Fiend Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns, Big E, and Braun Strowman. It is the control and exploitation of these characters that allows WWE to drive revenue, which in turn enables the company to compensate performers at the highest levels in sports entertainment industry. Notwithstanding the contractual language, it is imperative for the success of our company to protect our greatest assets and establish partnerships with third parties on a company-wide basis, rather than at the individual level, which as a result will provide more value for all involved. So yeah, key takeaway for me here was the fact that they were trying to protect their greatest assets, but for the most part, they don't treat them like actual assets because they're independent contractors in their
They're
eyes.
trying to control the flow of the money, and they might launch their own similar services to some point, maybe Cal 2.0, but it's just controlling the money. And it's, as I stated earlier, I think it's just because business is down, so it's a reactionary sort of jump back at people, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It was, I mean, the only positive really I could take out of it is the fact that they mentioned Big E in the big stage name. So I'm like, oh, at least he's got high stock in the company. So yeah, take what you can. Tell us about SmackDown, Ben Roy. What is going on in SmackDown?
Well, guess what? SmackDown's ratings were down because they've gone SmackDown. Yes. So they drew an average of 2,000,000.066, and yeah, that's down by 3.6%. I guess the Thunderdome isn't that alluring to some people. I mean, you'd think it's like that skit. I think it's out of Bug's Life where that moth is just flying to the lights, like, I can't stop, it's so beautiful. Whereas a lot of people are just like, nah, I'm just going.
No, I'm the moth. I'm definitely the moth. But to be honest, anything like, just judging over the last couple of months, anything above 2 million for me in SmackDown is...
Yeah, I mean, I think if WWE can hold the above 2 million number, then they're laughing at it, because especially as they're not touring around the country, so they're not spending all that sort of money going around everywhere. I think the Thunderdome, even with the expenses of that, but still staying in one location, they're still saving quite a lot. So I don't know. It's down a bit, but they're just going to go up and down, and I always don't understand who just watches one or two shows. Because for me, if I'm going to watch it, like, say, I won't just tune in 1 week and then bugger off the next. So I'm always fascinated by how the numbers fluctuate so much. But yeah, Thunderdome is losing some people, it seems.
It is what it is. It's been a bit of a weird news day. It's not been probably the most positive of news days, but, you know, we've got wrestling to talk about. So
let's just hope Matt Hardy's okay. And also that I want to hear more about Matt Hardy, and I want to see him speak about it either on Twitter, YouTube, or on AEW next week. Let's just hope that he's not got some lasting injuries there.
Yeah. So that has been our Sunday roundup of everything that went down in All Out. Obviously, a few little things about the third-party edict from WWE as well. I've been Gareth from WhatCulture. Do not forget to follow everyone at WhatCulture WWE on Twitter. Follow myself at gmorgan04. Where can they find you, Ben Roy?
At Ben Roy Turner.
Incredible. It's just to the point. No messing around. No numbers. None of that. So don't forget to like, share, click on the subscribe button for all your favourite WhatCulture WWE content. We will be back soon, I'm sure enough, with more news and more things dropping throughout the day. But in the meantime, have a good one and look after yourself. Bye-bye.
I'm going to go to sleep now.